And hello, Draft Radio fans. This is Kyle Ott doing a triple gate crash draft, returning to the time when you could crash gates and no one cared. Gotta love it. We've got an interesting pick. Certainly, there's a Sunhome Guildmage, arguably one of the better Guildmages in the block, versus a Kingpin's Pet. I'm going to go with the Sunhome Guildmage. I certainly like to be as aggressive as possible when I'm playing triple gate crash. You'll notice that we're doing this with draftbots and with Paola 1994. Paola, if you're watching this video, shout out. Thank you so much for doing the draft with us. I appreciate it. The reason we're doing that is I got kicked from the draft that I started about 5 minutes ago, and my buddies Falcon Monkey 56 and Lloydmaster 122, who are also going to be joining us on Untap afterwards, have amazing decks, and I didn't think it would be very fair to make them ditch their awesome picks and phenomenal drafting because of my technological problems. So I'm doing a separate draft and that we will play with them. I understand that this doesn't paint a great understanding of signals, but I can still go over picks with you guys and we'll have a good game anyway. So Sunhome Guildmage is the pick, hoping to wield that there smite. That there smite. Herb-a-derb-derb. Well, that's awkward. We've passed a Kingpin's Pet for an Orzhov's Guild, for a Vizkopa Guildmage. Oh, I'm sorry, a Vizkopa Guildmage. There's also an Act of Treason. Oh, do I want Act of Treason? There's a Bomber Corps as well. I think Vizkopa Guildmage. So you've taken two Guildmage. So you want to be an assassin. Well, at least this keeps us open. I honestly think Orzhov and Boros are two of the most competitive archetypes in here. Gruul being the most competitive in terms of like actual draft pro tour wins, but I mean, hey, beggars cannot be choosers. So having a really fun time with this. We'll hopefully we'll get some direction from our next pick. I mean, certainly having a Guildmage in each one is not terrible. I mean, this definitely paints a nice way of how we can do this. So I'm excited to see how this plays out. Who is taking forever, I wonder? Now, Paola's taking his time with the picks. It makes sense, though. The one human in the draft is taking their time. It's a good call. Ooh. All right. Let's see what else. Okay, well, that's certainly a good direction. A True Fire Paladin is probably one of the best 2-drops in the format, and we're just going to slam pick that. This is something that Marshall Sutcliffe talks about a few times in his drafts, and that's called Threat of Activation abilities. So the idea is that you can swing in with this and keep your defenses up, and if your opponent decides to block, you can pay the stuff, kill their creature, and if they decide not to block, then you've basically just gotten 2 free points of damage based only on the threat of your abilities, and you can further develop your board. So cards like True Fire Paladin and, to a lesser extent, Sunhome Guildmage make attacking a little bit more difficult for your opponents. I also like Sunhome Guildmage because he makes creatures. Like, that's pretty nice. Also, his the +1/+0 ability is pretty dope as well. Not gonna lie. So we'll see what else happens. I mean, certainly getting one 2-drop into another 2-drop is definitely something that I'm really excited for. So again, though, we're keeping our options open. So we have this Vizkopa Guildmage if something happens. Vizkopa Guildmage just wins games too on its own. I mean, this card is insane in the membrane. This card was really fun too in Two-Headed Giant. Or Knights and Kings if you've ever played, or Kings and Emperors. Emperor? I don't know. It seems like every place I'm at has a different name for the format where it's one person is like the king or the emperor, and then you've got 2 knights on either side of him. And you have to take out the knights before you can take out the king. Yeah, like Vizkopa Guildmage. Like Vizkopa Guildmage a lot. Yeah. Tons of fun. I know we haven't done any Journey into Nyx content lately. It's just been one of those things where we kind of have just been sort of Journey into Nyxed out. There's a Massive Raid, which is a perfectly acceptable card, a Towering Thunderfist. I'm going to take Devour Flesh, keep our options open, and our options are no longer open. There's a Skinbrand Goblin. We're going to follow up the Skinbrand Goblin with a Armored Transport. I like Assault Griffin. Assault Griffin is fine, but I mean, you can get 4-drops and 3-drops and stuff at any point during the draft. I will take this Nav Squad Commando. Sometimes you just need to play a 5-drop in the format, and that's perfectly acceptable. Balustrade Spy. Maybe I should have taken that in case I do want to go Orzhov. We'll take Balustrade Spy here. We'll also take Orzhov Guildgate, Syndicate Enforcer, Orzhov Guildgate. So this is turning into an Orzhov deck, actually. So let's put these back in here. and a 4th Orzhov Guildgate. Well, I'm probably not going to play 4 of them. I'll probably run 2 if I decide to run them at all. That is the second Undercity Plague that we have seen. I do like Basilica Guards. It behooves us to get a lot of cheap extort stuff if that is the direction that we are going to go. So I'm going to grab that. And there's a Basilica Screecher as well. Another really great cheap bestow card. Or not bestow card, I apologize. Extort card. I do like extort cards. Aerial Maneuver is quite fine. Diluvian Primordial is a beating if you can ever cast it, which in this format, I got to be honest with you, is not very often. I'm actually going to take the Aerial Maneuver. It's not a terrible defensive combat trick. That first strike is kind of nice. It's also pretty cheap. Lets us lob in our 2-drops, get an extort activation, and trade with a low toughness creature, which there are a plethora in this set. I am also going to take here the second Devour Flesh. I don't really care about my opponents gaining too much life, as we are going to steal it from them eventually. There is, however, an Experiment Van. Interesting. There's really nothing in this pack that I'm going to play, so I'm just going to hate draft Experiment 1. There's nothing else that we would even consider playing. Alright, so Boros dried up quick, but I mean, hey, that's fine. We got the basis of a pretty nice deck. I also don't mind running Armored Transport here. We're not going to use this. I'll just hate draft the Towering Thunder Fist. Blah, 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 blah. Night Watch is fine. I think at this point we're a little strapped for playables, which happens sometimes in a draft. Sometimes you stay too open and you get hammered. Well, we got hammered. Shadow Alley Denizen is fine as well. Gives us an alternate win condition. You can also trade with it. Happy to see Debtor's Pulpit. Gives us an out in case our opponent is playing one of the bigger Ghoul-heavy decks. Not a terrible card as well. And like I said, we're just kind of want all playables all the time. Really happy to see Corpse Blockade Wheel here. It's a cheap defender with a relevant ability against bigger creatures, so happy to see that as well. And we might actually play 2 Night's Watch. Not going to play the Dimir Guildgate. Probably just hate draft the Ruination Worm, I think. Yeah, this doesn't seem terrible. We've got plays. I don't actually mind running Armored Transport, although it is for more of the offensive decks, but I mean, hey. Beggars cannot be choosers. Really happy to see these Orzhov Guildgates. I might actually run a 3rd one. Who knows? I mean, we've gotten a Basilica Screecher, Basilica Guards. That Corpse Blockade was huge. The 2 Devour Flesh are really nice. So the Night Watches are fine as well. This card is awful, and this card is something. Razor Tip Whip. Do I look to be the Razor Tip Whip deck? Who knows? Maybe I do. Maybe this is my alternate win condition. All right, so let's take a look at some of the rares that we've got. There's a Wrecking Ogre, another True Fire Paladin, a Ground Assault. Sadly, our Boros is dried up at this point, so I don't think we can actually recommit to Boros. Sorry, Boros. I do like you. There is a case for being Orzhov, but I really think that actually just makes our curve slower. While I am sad to pass up this Wrecking Ogre, I think an Executioner Strike is certainly fine. Balustrade Spy is another great card. Forget Balustrade Spy. There's a Guardian of the Gateless. This card is awesome. If you've ever played with Guardian of the Gateless, this card is fantastic. It hits, blocks, does lots of good stuff. There's also a Smite in the pack, which I'm probably not going to see, but I mean, we've got an Executioner Swing and 2 Devour Fleshes, and I'd rather just have a Flying Bomb that can sometimes kill off everything on the board. Happy to see Basilica Guards here as well. As always, trying to get to that critical massive extort creatures. Yeah, I mean, signals were all over the place, I think, with this one, so that's fine. If it's Copper Guild Mage, I'm always happy to see a second one of these guys, as the ability is incredibly relevant. Having a nice 2-drop helps as well. There's a Death's Approach, which we will take. It's pseudo-removal, but it's removal nonetheless. Number of creatures in its controller's graveyard. In this format, when you're trading and you're dropping removal spells, that actually tends to be a pretty high number. So I don't feel bad about taking that at all. Wow, that's a late Sunhome Guildmage. The pick, however, for us is between Syndicate Enforcer and Balustrade Spy. Balustrade Spy is most likely the pick that we're going to take. High evasion, it mills them, which gives us a little bit of an out in those grindier matches. Plus, it makes our Death's Approaches that much more useful, so we're going to take the Balustrade Spy. And I will happily play a second Corpse Blockade. Again, it's all about keeping those shields up early on and letting our Extort plink away and letting our Flyers head over. We're not passing too much else. Frilled Oculus is pretty late, but that seems fine. I'm not gonna really take anything out of this pack, so I think the biggest threat to us is this Rust Scarab. We have a problem dealing with bigger creatures. And happily take the Scab Clan Charger. Again, don't really have a problem with our opponents getting any of those cards. happily taking our third balustrade spy. If we're lucky, we'll wheel that second Death's Approach. Ooh, so the pick is between either Undercity Informer and Zerichi Tiger. I do like Zerichi Tiger. It's a fine blocker. It's perfectly acceptable, but I'm going to take Undercity Informer. And the reason is it kind of gives us an alternate win condition. Eventually, our opponent is going to have all of their lands, or a big enough portion of their lands that we can kind of mill them out. And that's sort of what this card gives us. Plus, it's a 2/3 for 3 mana as opposed to the 2/3 for 4 mana over there. So, taking that one, that explains that pick. I'm fine with them having Scatter, Arc, or Paranoid Delusions. Both of those cards are pretty bad. Wildwood Rebirth is probably the most annoying thing that an opponent could have, especially given that we're going to be hitting them with our Balustrade Spies. Their libraries, that is. Hold the Gates, +1/+0. Oh my gosh, we have 4 Guild Gates. We could be a Hold the Gates deck. Yes. 100% yes. And Shielded Passage is a perfectly fine card as well. So, let's do it. All right, joining in. Draft Radio is coming at you. Oh, this is going to be awesome. I'm running the Hold the Gates deck. That's happening. That is absolutely happening. I don't care what anybody says. Okay, so what is in our sideboard? Anything that I would absolutely want to play? Nothing. 2 Night's Watches, so we have 18, 23, 26, 27 cards. Alright, so we're going to cut this Razor Tip Whip. Go away. There was a problem with that action. There's a problem with your action, you dingus. Oh, we're actually going to take out the Shielded Passage. Don't really necessarily need it. Happy to take out Aerial Maneuver. Do I want to take out Aerial Maneuver? It's fun to mispronounce Magic cards, by the way. If you're ever just having a bad day, just mispronounce them a bunch. Yeah, we'll take Shielded Passage out again because this system just... You know what? That's fine. You go on with your bad self. Prevent this page from... sure. Whatever that means. You go with your bad self, computer. That's 24. This is going to be 20. This is 23, 25. We cut a Night's Watch. I don't necessarily need Night's Watch. Tapped Out is deciding to be a little on the cantankerous side today. Go away, Razor Whip. No one likes you. Go away, Night's Watch. Alright, so Tapped Out is just going to be like this, I think. That's fine. Which is more than acceptable. I am going to take one of these out. I really don't want to play 3 Guild Gates or 4 Guild Gates. And that's 16, 20, 23, 24. I have to cut one more card. Maybe I do want to cut Debtor's Pulpit or Hold the Gates. I think Debtor's Pulpit. There you go. Cutting Debtor's Pulpit. And just like that, folks, we have ourselves a crazy, awesome, hilarious Orzhov deck, and that is the wrong place to go. Alright, let's leave this game. No result. Of course there was a result. Draft Radio won. Come on now. Cut us some slack. Big shout out to Falcon Monkey and to Lloydmaster as well, because you know what, they've really been helping me out, and certainly there's been a little, not a lag in people on Tapped Out lately, but there's just been, I've been having trouble getting some games, so appreciate them being out, coming out and helping and drafting. All right, we're gonna discard this. That's all of our sideboard. We have our Death's Approach and our Hold the Gates, which is going to be our main win con because Hold the Gates is going to be impossible to beat. Aerial Maneuver is fine as well. Again, like I said, it's more of a defensive combat trick for us. All right, let's take a look at this. It looks like 15 and 13, so we're going to do 8 and 9. Oh no, we already have 3 lands, so 14. So we're just going to do 7 and 7. 7 Swamp, 7 Plains. And we need a great title, obviously. A few good janks, because you got to get your jank in. Am I right? Am I right? Yeah, I'm right. Alright, folks, our deck is made. A few good janks is ready. And you know what, my friends? I will see you on the other side. Alright, take it easy.